Welcome to Beneath the Surface with Scott Gibson. Scott recently met up with Thom Calandra of babybulls.com at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. They discussed how Dr. Copper is doing these days and where he's heading to. Enjoy.
Hi, my name is Scott Gibson with Keiko Gibson Capital. I'm here in Vancouver at the Cambridge House Resource Investment Conference, and my guest today is Thom Calandra of babybulls.com. Tom.
Always good to see you, Scott.
Good to see you too. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, pleasure.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about copper and gold right now, and what you have to say about those metals.
Well, you know, copper gold porphyries right now, last 6 weeks, have been having a great move. And why is that? You know, for example, Calibre, which is in Nicaragua, Lumina, which is a company that Ross Beatty was involved with in Argentina, Regulus, and we're starting to see money trickle into other copper gold porphyries. Belhaven, copper gold, which I own a lot of. I think when you get Dr. Copper, as they call it, involved, it means that the tide is changing. Scott, you know,
Right.
last 10 months have been terrible for metals equities. People still, the investment appetite's coming back the last 2-3 weeks.
Yep.
Anything you bought in the last 4 weeks is up, right, for sure, unless you have really bad luck.
Yeah.
My wife likes to joke that I find ever creative and innovative ways to lose our money.
To lose money.
And, but the fact is that when the investment appetite turns, you're always going to see it move first into Dr. Copper or nickel because of the size of the projects and the fact that the big companies have to have copper for long mine life.
Right, and that's what I like about copper gold too. It's massive. You know, even if the grades are slightly lower, you have the size potential there to make up for any kind of mistake or any kind of size issue or grade issues.
Yeah, and I think, Scott, you have the flip-flop factor where you can go copper gold, gold copper. What is it? And in terms of a porphyry, is it going to be a copper with a gold byproduct credit or vice versa? That's very attractive to large companies. You know, Oyu Tolgoi has gotten a lot of attention in Mongolia. I spent time there in 2002, 2003, Mongolia, Ivanhoe Mines. Well, when you look at the size of that, you know why Rio Tinto is involved. It has to be big. Look, a 3 million ounce or a 4 million ounce gold deposit is terrific. But once you add the 2, 3, 4 billion ton, or 4 billion pound, I should say, copper deposit, you lengthen the mine life to 20, 25, 30 years.
It's a nice byproduct, and it's not really a byproduct. It makes the mine.
Yeah, and as you know, copper has done very well lately.
Exactly.
It's close to an all-time high. It's an industrial metal. As Frank Holmes likes to point out, copper is very closely correlated with money supply. You look at the money supply charts globally in the last 3 months, they're all showing. And you look at copper, the last 3 months, they closely track the rise in liquidity and money supply.
Dr. Copper is a great place to be.
Yeah, I think so. I think there are still some cheap ones out there, and maybe they'll move as we see good numbers. The fact is, the assays that we've seen from companies like Calibre in Nicaragua or Regulus have been terrific, or Lumina, and the volume of trading has been unbelievable. Calibre, great example, on Friday up 105% on 25 million shares. Today up another 30% on huge volume.
Exactly.
And I own it luckily, but I've owned it for 2 years.
Right.
So.
And you own all those stocks you mentioned, right?
I don't own Regulus, and I do not own Lumina. I am a large shareholder of Belhaven Copper and Gold, and I also helped transition the company when I got involved 3 years ago.
Right, and I'm not a shareholder of any of those companies mentioned.
Right.
And what's your comment on the resource conference here, the Cambridge House Resource Investment Conference?
Okay, so we have 500 people here, 500 companies, and about 8,000 people. Traditionally, it's always a very well-attended conference because of Roundup.
Exactly.
Next door, Roundup much more technical. Obviously, there are a lot of retail investors coming these last 2 days who had questions. When will the drought in metals equities end? What are going to be the leading commodity performers?
Right.
You have investors, retail investors, who are very engaged in the process.
Yeah.
And now that they've seen all of these companies here numerous times at conferences like this one, the one that's coming up in Palm Springs, the June event, and the things that have happened in Toronto and Montreal with Cambridge House. Finally, you have a familiarity. Where we go from here? I think it's just great to see an amazing number of people here. I think PDAC, of course, will have a record number of people in March, almost an unfathomable number of people. I don't want to see this get more than 500 companies because it blows my mind.
It's entirely possible we might go there, depending on how this market continues.
Yeah, well, I think Cambridge House would hope so.
Yes.
And to be honest now, I think Cambridge House has become quite a source for information. That whole Cambridge House Cafe, which I write for, has a great list of people who follow it. And for me, you know, it reminds me of my old CBS Market Watch days when we had a huge audience. And I think that huge audience for natural resources is coming back. There are a lot of smart questions out there. I'm just crossing my fingers and hope that copper, molybdenum, nickel, iron ore, copper, platinum, gold stay in the game and keep setting new highs.
Thank you very much, Tom. Appreciate you being here with us.
Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Again, that's Thom Calandra of babybulls.com. My name is Scott Gibson from Keiko Gibson Capital. Thanks for being with us.
Stay tuned for more on Beneath the Surface with Scott Gibson. Thank you for watching.